The reproduction of this content is not allowed without the express written consent of EBH Fitness, LLC. We're back. And we are back. Welcome to the Week 6 Coaches Wrap-Up Show. I am your host, Steve Howard, joined here by Coach Ruben Torres from Franklin High School. Coach, thanks for joining us and welcome back.
Hey, how's it going, Steve?
It's going, Coach. I was trying to bring the logo up in the background, and I think I started too quick. But hey, it's live too, so we end this. So you guys had a nice little matchup, I should say. 84 points this week against Montwood. What was the thought process going through your head when that happened? And I say that not because I think you were trying to run the score up, but the first half was a very close game. And I think it was probably closer than a lot of people thought it would be.
Yeah, well, we first of all, not to discredit Montwood by any means. We knew that, especially early in the first half, going into the game, that we were going to have our hands filled with their offensive attack. I know that they're winless right now, but when you really look at what they do offensively, there's a lot of problems they pose in the passing game. And we didn't help ourselves by fumbling a punt return and a kickoff return to give them 2 extra possessions. So we were actually playing a little bit of catch up in that first half. We were fortunate to recover an onside kick, to kind of negate that turnover. But I just felt like offensively we were clicking on all cylinders, run and pass. Lucas Garza made some big throws downfield, for us to kind of keep us balanced. But I wasn't really pleased at all with our effort on defense, especially in our back end. So we've had a busy weekend. Really trying to get that stuff cleaned up on what we're doing on the back end, and even with our outside backer. I just felt like we played very undisciplined, very sloppy, and at times it even looked effortless. So you can imagine, as the head coach, who prides himself on having a disciplined team that is going to line up correctly and give max effort, I was extremely disappointed with that after that win. And we were fortunate that we were able to be as efficient as we were on offense, because that game could have easily gone the other way with how we were playing on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the defense, because that was one of the things that I kind of wanted to focus on here. Montwood had 3 100-yard receivers. Christopher Ortiz, 8 receptions, 116 yards and a touchdown. Adrian Cortinas, 8 receptions, 147 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then Miguel Escuedo, 10 receptions, 111 yards, 1 touchdown. I saw those numbers, and I was like, Coach is about to pop a blood vessel when he sees after seeing those numbers. And I know that was one of the things that you guys had addressed at the beginning of the season, with it rearing its head again. Is it back to the drawing board, or is it just refining and tuning some things up?
Well, I'll tell you the exact same thing I told the team after the game was, I feel like we're coached really hard. I feel like we're coached well. I feel like our defensive staff does a great job of preparing. Um, but you keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same result. And so I think on the coaching side of it, there's some things we've got to simplify. Um, and either the players are going to do it or we got to replace players. And that's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if we had some kids that were complacent or just happy with if they're happy with just winning, but that's not good enough for me. It's not good enough for the staff. It's not good enough for our community, and that's my job as the head coach. There's a standard, and we're not going to compromise that standard for anybody. And so, I could tell you that besides probably popping a blood vessel, I probably spent more money on Alka-Seltzer this weekend than I ever have for the way my stomach feels just watching that film over and over. But we've got to get better, and we will get better. But I think that to your point, I think we've got to simplify some things and give some other guys an opportunity to go out there and play because I can handle and I can accept some of the plays they made because they were well called plays and their kids executed well and we were there to make the play. They just made the play and that's going to happen. But when we're blowing coverage and we're not even giving a great effort out there, that's unacceptable and that's not something I'm going to accept or tolerate at all.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, I saw that and I was like, man, this is uh this is gonna be a long week for that secondary. For
Yeah,
sure.
no, it is.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Trust me, I know. I know. I know. And that's coming from me as a coach and knowing what it would be like if I was there. So I can only imagine now. And so yeah, that's crazy. But let's flip the table, go to the other side of the ball offensively. Offensively, you guys were pretty dominant. Um, I think you had two backs. I think Ernie ran for 16 carries, and Trey had 15 carries. I mean, what do you? I don't even know what to say about that. I mean, they both were very impressive. I think Ernie had 289, Trey had 188. Um, now I will say this: on all last week, I did say that Ernie was going to probably replicate the week before, and he sure came close. That young man,
Yeah,
I want to say this, and I'll let you talk. That young man has got to be the most under recruited player in this city in a long time, based off of his talent.
yeah, I would even go as far as saying the nation. Um, it blows my mind that he's not getting the consideration at the next level that he's proven week in and week out that he could play at. Um, and then on the other side of it, Trey had 15 carries for 188 yards, two touchdowns, and a catch. And so, as we've been moving forward through the season, getting that balance as far as who we're handing the ball to um, has been a point of contention for us and something that we've been very, consciously aware of. And I thought, Coach Palmaligi did an outstanding job with his play calling and being able to rotate the backs in and keeping them off balance a little bit with who we're giving the ball to. Because on a lot of those carries for Trey, Ernie's lead blocking for him. And
Yeah.
so I think it speaks to the selflessness of Ernie as well and the guys on this team. And I know I say this every week, but not only our offense